Hello everyone, Dave Fernandez here. I'm the founder of the Coach Your Way School and the author of the #1 factor that determines your success in business, which by the way you can get for free once you join our Facebook group, and I have a link in the description for you to do so a little later. Welcome to part 2 of this 3-part video series on how to start a successful coaching business. Today's video is going to be about the sales process and the 2 things that must happen consistently in order for you to first have a business and second be able to grow it. In part 1, I talked about the business structure, how to take inventory of your personal skill set and the problems that you can help people with, how to figure out who your ideal client is and the people that you want and can help, and also how to structure your practice by creating a coaching menu and an offer that you can present a prospect when the time's right. Okay, so if you're ready to learn more about the sales process, stick around because this video is for you. The sales process for a coaching business is comprised of 2 steps. 2 steps that have to happen consistently in order for you to have a thriving practice. So step number 1 is an invitation to a strategy call. And step number 2 is the strategy call. And I'm gonna begin by defining what a strategy call is because it's a term that I'm gonna be using throughout this video. A strategy call is a conversation that happens between the prospect and the coach. And the purpose of this conversation is first for the 2 of them to get to know each other, okay? And also for the coach to start gathering some information about the issues, problems, and maybe some unfulfilled goals that the prospect may have for which he may be inclined to engage the help of a coach in order to either solve or create a certain outcome or reach a certain goal. I'll go into the details and content of the strategy call in a minute, but for now, let's just say that the ideal outcome of this conversation is for the coach to figure out if the 2 of them are a good fit and if they have the skills and the resources to help the prospect reach their goal or solve their problem, okay? And if that's the case, then the coach will make a decision to make an offer for the 2 of them to work together. Okay, so now that we have defined what a strategy call is, let's talk about step number 1 in the sales process, which is the invitation to the strategy call. So this is why this step is so important. If you don't invite people to come talk to you, nothing can ever happen, okay? So you must create this invitation for people to first know that you're a coach, that you can help them, and second, that you can bring them into your sales process, have a conversation with them, the strategy call, and be able to figure out if you're a good fit and maybe make an offer to that person to work together, okay? So this invitation could happen in many different ways. It could happen in person, or it could happen organically using social media or online, or it could happen via paid ads. Those are the 3 ways that this invitation can ever happen, okay? So let's talk a little bit about the in-person one. Let's say you're out and about and you're at a party and you're talking to new people, right? You're being introduced to new people, and then you start a conversation with someone and you start maybe probing a little bit, to see what they're about, what type of challenges they're going through, etc. And all of a sudden someone mentions something that you happen to help people with, something you're good at, one of your skills, etc. And so at that point you start guiding the conversation down the path of finding out more about this person and what they're going through, right? At that point, you could just simply stop and make an invitation. You never try to coach right there and then. You want to actually invite them to have a conversation with you at a later time. It's like being a doctor or a dentist. A dentist is not gonna start working on your tooth, just because it hurts at the party, right? They ask you to call their office the next day, make an appointment so you can come see him for that specific purpose. So it is with a coach. A coach doesn't start just working on their craft, right there and then. They invite someone to make an appointment at a later time so the both of them know that they're going into this appointment or this conversation, or like we said, the strategy call, with something in mind. Something's gonna come out of this conversation. It's not a casual conversation, it is a business conversation. So that's pretty much how the in-person invitation happens, okay? It's as simple as that. Now let's talk about organic online invitations. So let's say you're on Facebook and you join several coaching groups or very specific groups. You can do a search on Facebook for this. Specific groups that talk about a certain topic that you happen to be good at or that you can help people with, okay? So you join all these groups online on Facebook, or there's a ton of forums out there that you can join. And you just begin to be part of that community by adding value to them, answering questions. Whenever somebody posts something, you go and pitch in your ideas or your solutions or whatnot. And it doesn't take very long until people start noticing, you know, who is active in the community and who's actually providing like great value to them, okay? And at that point, you could invite them to have a private conversation with you via a private messaging, or you can invite him to have a call with you directly. That's one way. You could also invite him to join your group. You can create a Facebook group and you just invite him to come over. And once they join your group, then you can freely converse with them, and also invite him to having live calls like via Skype or Zoom or FaceTime. And the third way of creating these invitations is via paid ads. It could be paid ads on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or wherever your ideal client is hanging out at. And that you find out at the beginning when you start doing the research about who your people are, and you know which are the groups that they're part of, and where are their communities, where are they congregating, right? Once you figure that out, it's not very hard to find out a way to get in front of them. I'll be sharing more details and techniques about how to get in front of the right audience in part 3 of this series, which is all about the marketing process. But for now, I like to keep it all about the sales process. Okay, so let's revisit step number 2, which is the strategy call. I want to go a little deeper into, you know, the contents of the call and the details. And usually what happens is once you invite someone to have a strategy call with you, you know, the two of you meet, and it could be in person or it could be on a video chat platform or over the phone. So what I like to do is to treat the strategy call as a normal coaching call, where I would ask questions of the prospect to see where they're at, what type of issues and problems or challenges they're going through, and what are their goals, where are they going, where do they see themselves in the future. And what I try to do is to, you know, create a global picture of their life, so I can understand it, and not necessarily just the things that I could help them with, but I want to see the whole picture. You know, what's their life like and how do I fit there? Then I just start narrowing down the big picture into the areas that I can help them with, and I just go ahead and help them in those areas. I try to create certain types of awareness, maybe share some ideas with them, resources, create a plan of action if you know there's something that they want to accomplish and they need a little bit of help defining, you know, some of the steps that they need to take. So ideally, again, is to try to create a coaching call, a standard coaching call, and show them, you know, how you can help them if that's something that you can do for them, right? You know, at the beginning of the call, you want to understand where they're at, so you know and you see if there are areas where you fit, right? And then if there's one or two of these areas that you fit, then you focus your coaching in those areas and try to add as much value as you can, right? In order to like really, you know, help them. You know, it's as simple as that. Towards the end of the call, you know, if you feel like you're a good fit for the person and the person feels the same about you, then you go ahead and make an offer. Now let's talk about how you make your offer. And your offer doesn't have to be anything complicated, like a lot of people like to make it. You know, big scripts where you beat people down. Every objection that they have, you just hack at it and hack at it and hack at it, trying to like force them and convince them that they need you, and without you, you know, they're nothing, etc. I mean, I've never been able to go down that route, to be honest. You do need a certain type of structure, but it doesn't have to be that complicated or that crazy. Ultimately, in my eyes, if somebody really wants to work with you, they're gonna work with you. You don't have to beat them into wanting to work with you. I want somebody that wants to work with me because they're ready, because they're gonna take action, because they just wanna change their situation. They want something more. They wanna go to another level. That's my take on this, okay? So I'll tell you how I do my offers. Very simple. Once I determine if the person is a good fit for me and I have what it takes to get them the results that they're after, then I just, you know, ask them, well, how did it go? How was our conversation today? Did you get any value of this? Obviously, most often than not, they'll say yes. I mean, you were able to help them. You did your best to help them with their issues. So obviously they must have gotten some value from that. So they'll say yes. And the next question is, would you like to see what it's like to work together on completing your goals or finishing solving this problem? If your strategy call was about creating a plan of action for them to reach a certain goal, then you just ask them what they think about the plan and if they would want help implementing the plan until their goal is reached. In my experience, most people will see the value right away of working with you. If you did a good job helping them, with their problems, defining certain things that they were confused about, maybe creating a certain plan for them, the value has already been presented, right? And it's just a matter of probably answering some of the questions if they have questions about, what it would be like to work with you and what type of results they would get and how soon and all this stuff. Other than that, it's really all a matter of whether they're ready or not to invest in themselves and how bad they want their situation to change. So let's recap the sales process real quick. So there's 2 steps. Step number 1, you invite someone to a strategy call. And step number 2, you go and have the strategy call. Step number 1, the invitation to the strategy call, is where you invite someone that you feel is maybe a good fit, for what you have to offer, to have a conversation with you, okay? Very simple, doesn't have to be anything elaborate. You just invite them to experience a coaching call free of charge. In step number 2, the strategy call, that's where you're gonna do your magic, as they say. You'll start by asking some questions and probing the prospect to see where they're at, and based on their answers, you're gonna start trying to create value for them in that very call. This is a coaching session, okay? Primarily, it is a coaching session. You need to add value to that person so they can see how much you have to offer and what it would be like eventually if they continue working with you, right? And depending on the outcome of this call, you're gonna make the offer or not. It is up to the coach to make the offer or not, okay? So these 2 steps pretty much comprise the sales process. And these 2 steps must happen consistently for you to have a coaching practice. You need to invite people into your world and you need to wow people during your call and then make an offer if they're a good fit, okay? That has to happen consistently on a daily basis. So you start building a pipeline. You start building your practice this way, okay? But it has to happen every day. Before I let you go, I wanted to let you know about a free resource that I created for you to download, and the link is down in the description, where I pretty much sketched out this whole sales process for you and also included a little sample script on how to invite someone to have a strategy call with you, and also a sample script on how to make your offer if you feel like you're a good fit to work with your prospect. In my next video, part 3 of this series, I'm going to be talking about the marketing process. I'll be sharing my formula for defining your marketing message down to 1 sentence and how to deliver it in order to attract the right people to you. I will also be talking about highly effective techniques to get in front of your audience organically and via paid ads. So if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you know when that video is out. And until next time, I wish you all the best. And let's get out there and start changing lives 1 session at a time. See ya.